morning, patrons. It is Monday, February 17th, and this is your Cup of Jones. Cheers, everybody. Regular time, regular day, business questions, editorial. Everything should be just on par with regular Cup of Jones. Cheers, everybody. What's up? Lots of fun things to talk about right at the top of today's Cup of Jones. I'm just realizing that I was so excited about the new equipment that I had showed for you. I was going to show you that I didn't get the schedule. I downloaded it, the image for the schedule, but I didn't line it up. So when we get to the schedule today, it's gonna require a little bit of editing, live editing. But we do have some fun equipment announcements to balance that. Some of you might know already. We tweeted some of that stuff out. Let's actually get right into that because that is super exciting. Right off the bat, bam, ceiling mics. I think it's Snowcone Guy that is going to be the most excited about our ceiling mics. I can't remember. There's some of you that have streamed about ceiling mics for a long, long time. Yes, I put up new decorations in the back. These are hopefully going to sound better. I know Ian and Sophia streamed on Valentine's Day in the studio. I actually watched that stream a little bit, but I had the volume down because I was just watching some of like the dream stuff that they were doing. And so haven't seen the actual test of whether I love whenever we get these photographs, there's at least one or two tools you'll see some tools scattered about as Ian has put all of this stuff together. I'm distracted because my cat is scratching on the couch. You were napping on the bed. Why are you up now? Scratching on the couch. But this was a long time coming. It was just a question of exactly like, where did we want to place these? What, we obviously needed new mic cables for these or needed to use the mic cables in a different way. This is 120% Ian. Everything you're going to see is all Ian. And if you want to get the close up there, bam. That is specifically what those suckers are hanging on. And we're using the old mic cables. I think we are getting new mic cables eventually for the studio stage. But those will be fun. I look forward to Mike Hubert bumping into those on several occasions. But a lot of people are asking for those. And if it doesn't make the studio sound better, I apologize. I think that's something that we definitely need in the streaming room. I mean, if there's not a drastic difference, I think that'll generally improve. Just not having to worry about where we are placing those things and just having them always be static, not bumping into them, I think will be great. I can't promise that we're not going to open bags of candy in front of them. Hopefully we can try to arrange that in a different way and do that off cam. This you might not notice it right away, but up top there we have a new arm for the camera that is above the stage that we are going to be using prominently tomorrow for our Magic the Gathering tournament. And for lots of other stuff that we do, occasional board game show. Ian had placed this up. Obviously, we've done occasional board game show several times already, but Ian put that up and wasn't 100% happy with its location. And so tweaked it a little bit, moved it around. You'll get a better idea with the picture coming up specifically that it like now stands right at the 50-yard line in the middle of the desk and is a bit more secure. He put a couple more safety cables around it. But now there you can see, and you got the tool there for good measure. But you can see specifically that it's like right in the middle there. And then there's a close-up of the actual arm holding the camera, and then these are the safety cables that are now making sure that doesn't fall on anybody's head and conk them out, even though obviously that would be hilarious, but safety first here at Easy Allies. And then one final thing that we are happy, we're not making a ton of purchases lately. We picked these guys up. We are going to be using these at our anniversary event so that people can hear each other and so they can have their people. You can hear them. This is obviously a lot easier to use, a lot more functional than having lav mics, having everybody like, okay, just put this on your shirt and pin it. Oh, wait, it's kind of touching your shirt. This will just be an easy thing to do for us to throw on. Of course, Brad and I, as we comment tomorrow, as we do our commentator roles, along with possibly some guest commentators we will see tomorrow. But Brad and I will be wearing a couple of these tomorrow, esports style, as we talk about and very gratefully not play any Magic the Gathering tomorrow for our tournament. And then potentially use these moving forward for E3. We're just going to see how these work. But these, are not super expensive when you get 5 of them. You know, the cost can add up, and we're excited about using those. And so this is exciting, getting a couple improvements for the studio, especially right on top of talking about the studio just very recently and showing you some of the stuff that we wanted to do. Some of the improvements that we wanted to make to the studio. That being said, with rental and internet costs for our anniversary event, along with just maybe a couple other things that we want to spend money on the next couple months, there is a bit of a spending freeze still at Easy Allies. We are not making, and also we are still kind of in the beginning phases of working with Roost as far as getting ad payments set up through them. And so we're trying not to spend too much money at Easy Allies, but those are things that we've been looking forward to getting for a long time and are buying specifically for events that are coming up. If you are going to be attending EasyX and are going to be streaming, maybe you'll get one of those beauties on your head. If it's not the one that Brad and I use, you might be one of the first people ever to put those snug things on your ears. Be sure to wash. If you're going to EasyX, just at least wash your ears. Tomorrow, of course, our Magic the Gathering tournament to benefit disaster relief in Australia starts at 2 p.m. and we are guessing maybe runs around 6 hours, question mark? I don't know. How long does it take for people to battle each other and play Magic the Gathering? We shall see. Ian's going to be in the studio today doing some tech preparations for that, and we will be going live tomorrow from our studio stage, which we don't do a heck of a lot, especially for events. We usually do that. We have done that for E3 previously, but it's going to be interesting doing that for our Tuesday night, technically our Tuesday night group stream. That'll be our group stream for tomorrow. Will be our tournament, and very much looking forward to that. It's going to be we're planning it as far as we obviously want there to be a certain bit of professionalism, if you will, but it's also gonna be the first time we've ever done an event like that. It's the first time we've ever done a card game tournament. We did a card game tournament back in the garage. This is our first time doing it in the studio, and we've played some board games. We've done some long extended streams in the studio, but it's gonna be interesting, specifically doing a Magic the Gathering tournament. So I would appreciate your attendance and your patience, both, for our charity stream tomorrow. Today, happy, cheers, everybody. Happy Mysterious Monday to y'all. Today is a dynamite episode of Mysterious Monsters. Kudos to Ian Hank, who not only put together a pretty darn good cast for this episode, but the next episode of Mysterious Monsters is also a very dynamite cast. On this episode, Tamara Bruchetta, Josh Wolf, and Freddie Wong, a.k.a. Dawn of Jane, which is a band that the three of them make up. Freddie might be the only name that you recognize. Tamara is the lead singer of that group. Josh Wolf is a comic book artist. But, of course, Freddie Wong is a YouTube superstar, special effect and short film director extraordinaire, and one of Ian's many extended wonderful friends in this industry. And so thanks to Freddie and gang for coming on and being on Mysterious Monsters. We will get into that when we look at the schedule, but I know we put up the teaser for that, the premiere loaded up, that is going to be on YouTube. A lot of people were like, wait, what? Freddie Wong? So it's fun to see him on our stage goofing off. Lots of really great previews and impressions coming up lately. Lots of stuff that is still in the cooker and lots of stuff that is still scheduled. You will notice that Allies will be out here and there. That will be possibly missing out on regularly scheduled events because they will either be running around Los Angeles going to specific preview events, or in some cases going out of town. And it's really fun at the beginning of the year. This definitely does happen in February because there's lots of big releases coming out this year. And so this is a great time for us to get out there and check out games ahead of time. We just got through I don't know if it's still running, but there was the Phantasy Star Online 2 beta exclusive to Xbox One that Ben and Brad checked out. You can go check out that video now. Huber went to go play Outriders, which I was very curious about. That was a very interesting video because that was one of those games that has a trailer where you're like, okay, I can't really get a sense of what is going on with this game. Huber checked it out, sat down with Ben. They talked about it. You can check out that preview now. This past Monday, I know I just dropped the news if you missed Cup of Jones last week. We weren't sure if we could talk about it ahead of time. I had a very mind-frazzled developer showcase with Media Molecule about Dreams. Sat down with them for an hour and then played through a bunch of Dreams that I hadn't played before very poorly and did not know the rules, and Blood had to help me along a little bit. But it was fun and it was great. I asked them some uncomfortable questions, but I have a lot of specific questions about where Dreams is at this point. And of course, I have now found out where Dreams is at this point because I've been playing a lot of it last week. I might as well jump to that point. My Dreams review is coming up this week. I mean, my goal is to get it done this week. Definitely wanted to spend a lot of time with it. Wanted to check out a lot of stuff that was in progress when I had played it before that is now finished, and get a real sense of kind of where the current state of that catalog of games is. Spoiler alert, that game is amazing. I am really, really, really impressed from a lot of the stuff that I've been playing. There was a lot of stuff. I try to get about 6 minutes of every game, just capture-wise, because you're probably only going to see that game once, maybe twice in the review. I really want to have almost every cut of that review be a separate dream. But which is so different from any review I've ever done as far as capture and just analysis and just like gathering footage and assets when you're going in actually to cut a review. But some of those, man, I would stop capturing and be like, okay, time to move on to the next stream. And it's like, I got to know how this ends. I have to know what's going to happen at the end of this weird, dream, because The Pilgrim was one of them. The Pilgrim is such a great, I think it's only like 20 minutes, but if all of you are playing Dreams, I definitely recommend checking out The Pilgrim because it's just the absolute perfect length. And that was a lot of fun to play. And can't talk too much about it, but if you followed Brad Ellis on Twitter, you might have seen him post a picture that he did go to a Final Fantasy VII event. That's all we can say. And there will be more events coming up in the future, but we can't talk about them because of embargoes. There is a bonus episode of Reaction Shots about the Oscars. Always fun to get bonus episodes of things if you haven't checked it out. Last Wednesday, I sat down with Michael Damiani and Ben Moore, and this time actually did play Metroid Prime for the very first time. I know the story of Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. We worked on one retrospective of it that never actually happened and another retrospective that did happen. But I'd never actually played the game, and I very much enjoyed it. I see very little wrong with those controls. Damiani was very curious, like, what do you think of the controls? I'm like, this game feels awesome, and if I had all the time in the world, I would be playing it right now. But maybe we'll get back to that game someday on Stream Team. I very much enjoyed it. Got my save file sitting there in Damiani's Wii U. I think we played on the Wii U. Might have played on the No, I think we played it on the OG Wii. The OG Wii. Kyle is out for another week. Kyle's doing fine. He thanks you for his well wishes. He, at least one more week, Kyle will need me to moderate the podcast. I will be back. If you missed that, I moderated the podcast for the very first time. That was a heck of a lot of fun. A little bit stressful, but once I got into it, I had a very good time. And thank you for all of the other panelists for backing me up. We got to figure out who's going to be on the podcast this week, actually, because if Kyle's not going to be on it, we need 3 people. So you might see some turnover, might see some people that actually the opposite of turnover. You might see some people return for the podcast. And for today's editorial, I want to talk about tournaments. We're doing a tournament tomorrow. We don't do tournaments a lot, and I kind of want to talk about the logistics of what goes into them, why you don't see us do them that often, and just kind of what tournaments mean to Easy Allies, because we have talked about them. We talked about them at our January meeting. Have definitely heard on Cup of Jones people saying that we should do more tournaments, so I want to dedicate, not a super long editorial. This also won't be a super long episode of Cup of Jones. Got Milo napping in the next room. Milo's taking a nap right now. Everybody be very quiet. Okay, let's look at the schedule that's not there. Okay? There's no schedule there. There's no schedule. I downloaded it, but I didn't put it up there. There it is. There's the schedule. Boom. See? That didn't take very long. Cup of Jones, right now, it's happening. Ian is just absolutely dominating this Monday. Ian's Synth stream will be going up an hour or two after this Cup of Jones episode ends. If you missed last week's episode of Cup of Jones, you will know I enjoy these. I believe it was Alexander Zirianov asked, like, did you see that? Jump right into the middle of that Synth stream and let me know what you think. And I jumped right in the middle of that Synth stream, and I got exactly what I was expecting. It's so crazy. He looks like it's like watching some psychedelic telephone operator just kind of like command of the universe. It really is fascinating. It's certainly nothing that any anyone else at Easy Allies could possibly do anything like that. So kudos to Ian. Really fun thing to kind of put onto the background. So if you're at work, if you're looking to do maybe a little bit of wacky creative work this afternoon, I suggest putting on that synth stream. Also continuing the Ian and also Huber domination, of course. This jam-packed celebrity episode of Mysterious Monsters will premiere at 4 p.m. on YouTube. Today is also Frame Trap, if you want to check that out. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., our group stream, the Magic the Gathering tournament. Watch Michael Huber, Ian Hank, Ben Moore, Daniel Bloodworth go head-to-head. Bloodworth giving me the blow-by-blow of checking out Magic the Gathering this weekend. We're talking about colors. We're talking about strategies. We're talking about land. We're talking about all sorts of stuff. I have also, I'm going to be commentating it, so I've also been playing a little bit of Magic myself, and it's a fun game. It's been really fun, having Blood bring these things up and me being like, oh, actually, I do know a little bit more about Magic than I think I do. Apologies if you're really expecting that absolute expert analysis from me. It's gonna be interesting to see testing Brad Ellis's knowledge as well. I'm looking forward to somebody playing some card or something happening during it, and Brad and I are like, yeah, not sure what that is. Don't really know what we're looking at there. Wednesday night, 7 p.m., Deadly Premonition. Don and Ian. Ian's got a good week this week. Thursday, Huber Syndrome is back, and we will have our second episode of the new season of Huber Syndrome this Thursday. If you missed last week, if you have missed us talking about it, Huber has now Huber's Q, that I believe it is Community Q, Q-U-E-U-E, Community Q at EasyAllies.com. If you want to send Michael Huber a 20-minute clip. Also, I imagine he might say that in the actual post, but I imagine he would appreciate, because maybe you don't want your email mentioned, you would appreciate what name you would want mentioned on screen, because he's going to give you a shout out. And just show everybody what you all are playing as well. And I think that's a wonderful idea, because that's like one of my favorite things about Community Showcase is just hearing about what people are playing, seeing what people are playing. And it's going to be fun to see how that 20 second clip, 20 minute, 20 hours. If you could beat a game, send the entire playthrough to Michael Huber, 20 seconds. Some of you really beat Blood to the punch there. I imagine Blood would be the first person to be like, 20 seconds, dude. No, don't send him 20 minutes. You can't do it. You couldn't even, the internet won't even let you. The internet would stop you dead in your tracks. If you tried to email somebody a 20-minute clip of anything, you couldn't do that in a day. I've tried. Hundreds of 20-minute clips. Jones! Blood Pact on Thursday. If you're on that tier, you can check that out. And if you're on that tier, you can get involved. But if you want to just watch that, you can check it out. And of course, our regular weekend slew of shows, the Easy Allies podcast, moderated by yours truly, which will be up for early access on Friday, but everyone else can check it out on Sunday. And then Friend Code and Easy Update this weekend as well. All right, not a ton of business questions, but we got to get to them sometime. Matt Igleski, cheers everybody. As next gen approaches, will there be an EZA Best of the Generation Awards live stream or top 10 video, including deliberations, individual picks or lists, etc.? No, probably not. Odds, it's like the 8 ball. It's like, yeah, it's not looking good. The odds are not good. Awards are very difficult to put together. Deliberations, I mean, it would be nice because it's not like, hey, everybody catch up on the last generation of games. That's something we could potentially talk about. But I will, Matt, I'll meet you halfway. I think it potentially would be fun to do like a group stream where we talk about the last gen, talk about some of our favorite things, kind of like the opposite of a prediction stream, looking back at this last gen, talk about what were some of our favorite things that happened. But talking about definitely doing some big like award show in the vein of how we did the best of 2019, I think would be a pretty big ask as far as just production is concerned. And we don't do top 10s anymore. And it would be, I'm sure our audience would appreciate if we just suddenly did a top 10 out of nowhere, but then all the questions would come in with people being like, hey, I noticed that top 10 you did there. You gonna do more of those top 10s? And then we'd have to answer that question over and over. Alexander Zirianov, I plan to submit a gameplay video for Community Showcase, 20 minutes long. It looks like YouTube has tweaked compression parameters for videos with a small view count. I don't want to submit a video that looks like an old VHS tape, so I'm looking for alternatives that are acceptable to you. What tool are you using to download videos for Community Showcase so that I can check the list of video hosting services it supports? Is it okay to upload H.264 encoded MP4 files, 1080p at 60 FPS, to the cloud and submit a link to it? You can do that. Sure. Downloading stuff that way would definitely be easy. I've had people submit stuff directly to Patreon. I've had people submit stuff to my email address. I've had people submit stuff that I just download. I've had stuff submitted via Vimeo and YouTube and SoundCloud. I actually, for a while there, I was downloading stuff from YouTube, and I gotta be honest, all of the services that are available are super finicky and very frustrating. Like, a lot of the free service stuff are like, I'm not really a big fan of like downloading new crazy software to my computer and attaching it to browsers and then updating it later, and then that service doesn't work, so I got to go after something else. After a while, I decided, the cleanest way to do this is just to capture it through XSplit. Just literally go full screen on the video and then just record it locally, and then change the in and outs, make a nice clean cut in Premiere, and then re-export it. So Google Drive or Dropbox works great if you want to get the nice pure clean file. But again, if that's difficult for you, or if it's like a file that already exists on a channel that you guys all this is going out to Alexander and to everyone else that submits stuff for the Community Showcase. Doing it the way that I do it that way, I'm literally just capturing what my PC is doing. And so if it's something I can watch or listen to on my PC, then it's something I can get. So don't stress yourself out too much. But yeah, if you want it to look super crisp and beautiful, then you probably want to send me the raw file. And Cloud or Dropbox is probably the best way to do it. Brian Deneau. Since we patrons now get the ad-free version of the podcast every week, that means we're missing out on valuable coupon codes for the businesses sponsoring the podcast. Is there a way that the advertiser coupon code in a short description can be added to the podcast description so that we can still take advantage? It is. It's in there. You can go, if you go to right underneath the timestamps, you can see a sentence that says basically the last thing that I say during podcast halftime. So that is, I believe in the ad read, it is called the call to action. So it says, okay, here's the thing that is sponsoring us this week. Here's how it works. We tried it out. We love it. We love it. And here's how you can get involved. Here's how you can take advantage of it. And so it's usually a link. It's usually either a website that you can go to where you type in a promo code allies, or it is a browser address that has allies at the end. For this last week, it was ExpressVPN. So it's expressvpn.com/allies. You go there if you log in for ExpressVPN. It might not be in the Patreon post. We could add it there. Okay. I believe it was in the Patreon post when I made it, but I will make sure that it is in there. Yeah, and then you would go to that address, and then you get that coupon code. But yeah, we'll make sure that is in the description on Patreon as well as on YouTube if you want to take advantage of that. But yeah, again, if you miss it for any reason, it's, also all that stuff goes up on Sunday. And it is always in the description on Sunday. Your own skills. Would be awesome to see you guys get the Quest VR headset and play Thrill of the Fight. Sure, we now have 3 different VR headsets. So, we did get the Quest. Oh no, we have 4. We do have the Quest headset, and yeah, maybe we'll check out Thrill of the Fight one day, but you can't see us playing it because it's the Quest. I guess we could plug that in. I guess you can plug in the Quest. Sure. Maybe we'll do that someday. Just seems odd to play the Quest when we have, the Oculus Rift, and we now have the Valve Index. Seems a bit odd to stream the Quest specifically, maybe for a couple games, but maybe there's stuff exclusive to it. But I'm always taking VR recommendations. Philipanda. Okay, this is going to be a little nitpicky. I love nitpicks. I love them. But since the discussion of GOTY categories came up, I got to ask, what's with the bewildering best platformer category? When it came up on stream, Blood said it was because you guys don't like the term side-scroller, but that isn't what the category is? I mean, Bloodstained is a stretch for platformer, but then there's Katana Zero, a game I quite liked, but there's not an ounce of platforming in it. It's an action game and sometimes a stealth game, but it's definitely not a platformer. I'm also pretty sure 3D platformers wouldn't be considered for the category, correct? Right. No. Yeah, they would, I think. Something where you just bounce around, sure. Anyway, not a big deal. Just thought it was funny to hear Jones say, what's an action game? What's an adventure game? What does action adventure mean? We have to define that stuff before we can move forward. Yeah, I'm not that hung up on it. I have pretty clear ideas about what genre titles are. Is actually something that I've always wanted to do that the Allies just kind of always like roll their eyes at whenever I bring it up. It's just the idea about like doing a series where we talk about like okay, action adventure. What does it mean? What is it? Let's go through all the games and decide like, is this an action adventure? What is this? Oh, Oculus Vive PSVR Quest Index. That's 5. Yeah, the good old PSVR. I'm sorry, I forgot about you. But yeah, we should get, hey, why don't we have a stream where we play we have 5 people in the middle of the streaming room playing the Oculus Vive PSVR Quest and Index all at the same time. Like the Avengers, like in a circle, all facing separate directions, slamming into each other. I kind of like that idea. I think I might go with that. I don't know. I have pretty clear ideas about those things. I'm not saying it's like the easiest thing in the world to define like what belongs in one thing. But we did say we had platformer. We had a question mark at the end, and I'm like, oh, do we need this? I mean, to me, it's pretty clear what a platformer is. I don't think Bloodstained is a stretch for a platformer. I think in order to get around anywhere in Bloodstained, you got to jump. I know that most of the platformers I know have some sort of action element to them, so I don't mind about some of those things. I know Ian can get very frustrated when it comes to genre stuff, but then at the same time, once we actually get into the discussion, he'll try to kind of like bend the genre a little bit to include other things. So we don't have a big enough room for even 2 of those, says Bloodworth. That's the point, Bloodworth. That's the point. Maybe they play at each other. Maybe we get the Quest and the Rift playing Thrill of the Fight at each other. So they're punching each other in real life and punching their opponents in the game. We need to settle this with an opinion, Yal. Yep. What is platform? Is Bloodstained a platformer? Opinion, Yal. Can you hear the garbage truck? Yeah. The garbage truck has arrived. Looks like the garbage truck has arrived. Do I look like garbage all of a sudden, Blood? Sounds like the garbage truck has arrived. I literally did was there like a reflection of garbage on me? Wow. Jones looked like garbage. Jones looked like garbage. Brandon K. Gann. Do you think EZA is striking a right balance between gaming and non-gaming content? And if not, which one do you think EZA could focus more on? Games. Or do you believe there's enough out there to fit most people's interests? Most people, sure. No, I do think we have a nice balance. I can see the lights blinking. Oh, really? And it's gone. Oh, lights were flashing in the background. During the middle of the day, the lights still show up. Oh, it's not the lights. It's probably a reflection. Probably because the sun is over there, so it's probably bouncing off. So yeah, I did look like trash. Brandon, it's all about balance. I mean, that's like every time we look at, how much time we have to do things, how much stuff that we're, putting up on our YouTube page, how many Patreon posts we're putting up per day. How long it takes if you want to find something on our Patreon, how many Patreon posts we put up per show. Regrettably, I put up 2 Cup of Jones posts per episode because I can't put up an audio post of something that hasn't gone live yet. So yeah, it's all about balance. So if we are not doing the right balance between gaming and non-gaming content, then that is definitely something that we need to address. But if I was to wave a magic wand and do more of it, it would certainly be more streaming of games on Twitch, more reviews of games, more time and more resources for us to review more games that we don't get a chance to. When we do Game of the Year, every time we look back, it's like, didn't review Super Mario Maker 2, didn't review Marvel Ultimate Alliance, didn't review Disco Elysium, didn't review Outer Wilds, didn't review, so many games we just didn't get a chance to. That's why we try to cover stuff. Even looking back this past week, didn't review Greedfall, which I talked about on Frame Trap, didn't review I might review Temtem. We'll see. We'll see what's going on when Temtem comes out of early access. I talked about Temtem because I've been playing a fair amount of Temtem. Talked about it on Frame Trap and decided not to review Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics because my review would be so late and it would be a $20 game, licensed game. And so me showing up being like, it's okay, I don't think would be like an earth-shattering video. But I did talk about it on Frame Trap. So those 3 games, are likely not going to get extensive video coverage from us. But we have live streamed 1010 on 2 separate occasions now. I think we can always do more gaming stuff, more reactions to gaming events, more Trailer Joneses for gaming trailers. Fully aware that I have not done a Trailer Jones yet for the month of February. Was thinking about doing one for Wes Anderson's newest, the French Brigade, the French Dispatch. It was maybe going to grab Ian for that one, but we've all just been focused on other events. But yeah, games. And streaming. We did talk about that recently, just kind of like how much streaming really benefits our community, benefits what we do. I know a lot of people are here like, I'm not here for your streams. I don't watch your streams. But we really enjoy them. And I think if you watched our group stream a couple weeks back, you might have seen me sing a musical number. We talked about how fun it would be to do live theater in streams. I know there is live theater you can watch on the internet, but not necessarily something you see on Twitch a lot. So I think there are ways that we could expand our offerings on Twitch. The Green Knight, yeah, I know, but again, the Green Knight is it's a movie trailer, and I did like 2 or 3 movie trailers in December back to back, and a lot of our people in our community were like, "All right, get back to those game trailers." So, and there was a Final Fantasy VII. Also, the Green Knight just popped up on the worst day for me to do that, and I like to do at least if we get past the 48-hour mark, it's too late in my opinion for a Trailer Jones, but. We had a Dynamite Final Fantasy VII remake story trailer, but I was just like, we've done so many. I know it would have done well, but I just imagine the conversation of me getting Brad Ellis and being like, "What do you think?" And Brad's like, "Excited for that game." Brad might also be media blackout on that. That being said, he just went to an event for Final Fantasy VII, so maybe not. Cabbage Lad, I seem to remember back in the day visiting game trailers on a daily basis, not only for the stellar quality content, thank you, but for the news. I may be remembering incorrectly. Something I've noticed recently is that in the podcasts, news is reported from other sources, i.e. Kotaku, Eurogamer, etc. Would Easy Allies ever consider becoming journalistic and start reporting and investigating in-house on the news? No. Whether that be on the website or in podcast form. What factors were responsible for the change in the way of reporting? Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, we had GTTV, which was on Spike. We didn't, Blood says he should have left a note on this. Did we have news back at Game Trailers? Did we have like a GT news show? Yeah, we never actually reported in-house. I'm curious kind of what the thing about Game Trailers is like there was a lot of gears, a lot of moving pieces to that website. So there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't directly involved in that was going on, but I don't think Wario 64 did it for a while. Yeah. And we did have, we had a website running called Side Mission for a while that Michael McWhirter worked at for a hot second. I think less than a year. I think like 5 months McWhirter came on, and then McWhirter was like, yeah, I'm out. And he went on, to go do his own news. And, but yeah, we did do a little bit, but it wasn't something that the Game Trailer staff did. And certainly now at Easy Allies, it's kind of like, actually going in and digging and writing those stories and making the news happen, to me would be akin to making games. It's like we are in a position where, or making our own events, kind of similar to what Kind of Funny does, and of course the Game Awards and E3 and whatnot, PAX. And so Side Mission was sort of in-house. It was in the building, but like just again, none of the people that you see at Easy Allies were involved in that stuff. Epic Battle Axe did it for a while. That's right. Thanks, Blood. Blood's on point with all of the news on our old news. But we at Easy Allies really are reacting. We are reacting to the news that's happening in this business. We are reacting to the announcements that are happening. We're reacting to the games that are being released. And so we want to give credit where credit is due. We are reacting to the monsters that are added to Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And so we want to set the expectations that you are coming in to see what we think of these things, how we react, and then hopefully find out new things that you might enjoy by seeing us enjoy them. Do we get more garbage light? Were you all distracted too much? Should I go back? Was there too much garbage light that just happened? Can you hear the garbage as well? Can you smell the garbage? But yeah, long story short, Cabbage Light. Again, it's of course, it would be so much fun if everything that we did was all in-house. But I think we've definitely established ourselves. There's a question coming up, too, kind of from Morgan Mulhalla about kind of what we look at as our future and kind of what we what are our plans moving ahead for growth? And I think when you begin that conversation, and certainly this is something that we revisit every single time we near our anniversary, but also when we start a brand new year of content, and we just kicked off 2020. And so I can't speak for all of the allies, but as editor-in-chief, I try to really look at, who are we? What are we doing in terms of what themes, kind of permeate all of the content that we produce, from our E3 coverage to Gundam building. And I think, generally our impressions of things is kind of something that keeps coming up again and again, Hall of Greats, us watching announcements, and us just kind of sharing our opinions and making sure that we are not just saying those things in a vacuum, that we can express those to a community that can express them back, that we have as many opportunities as possible for people to ask questions, for us to answer them. We have corrections on the podcast. We have people that come back month after month after month to Community Showcase, and we can essentially keep the conversation going, is something that we mention a lot. And so we don't want to necessarily, be responsible for starting that conversation as well. So we essentially just want to kick back, react to these things. And that is how we handle news, and likely how we will handle news for the future. Ulf himself, I don't know how you edit and upload the podcast, so I don't know if this is even doable, but is it possible for you to provide the link to the podcast that includes the ad in the early access post? I still want the podcast early, but I also want to up the number of views on the video that is visible to the public, since that helps you guys out. This likely won't happen, because now that I got to export 2 video versions and 2 audio versions, I don't export that because I'd be up until like 5 in the morning. I don't export that video version until later in the day on Fridays. This last week I didn't do it till Saturday. So that link isn't available until later. And it actually, I think, benefits us most if you wait until that is public. And this is from Bloodworth, although both of us are kind of like, we don't know, officially for sure. YouTube can definitely be a mystery. Yes, I saw that note, Bloodworth, regarding this. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's best if you feel that it makes a difference, it's best to wait until that post goes up on Sunday and then just give that a click if you want to support us in that way. But as Bloodworth pointed out in the post, thank you, Bloodworth, we have not seen a dip at all in once we've moved to or necessarily like a noticeable dip. I mean, obviously any of our shows are a roller coaster ride on YouTube, but we haven't really noticed anything that we would consider caused by the way that we've been handling ads, the way we've changed early access via Patreon to the post that we put up on YouTube after the fact. So things are going well. You don't have to worry about that too much. But if that is important to you and you do want to check that out, and you have the patience, wait until Sunday and then click on that video when that goes live for everybody. And thank you, everybody that's been giving us comments, that's been dealing with us as we figure out how hopefully the ads were a little smoother in this last podcast than they were the week before. I know some people were like, I'm confused because you were referencing the ad during podcast halftime. We made a much cleaner break this time, and hopefully haven't had any comments on it. Nobody reached out to me on social media or elsewhere, and nobody mentioned it on Cup of Jones this week. So I think it's working out. There we go. Oh, Blood said it was 100% on track with previous week. So there we go. Haven't skipped a beat. Seratos 23, has there been any thoughts on playing through the Mass Effect trilogy? I do think about the Mass Effect trilogy every now and then. Maybe just for the first one for now on your Thursday night streams with Kyle. Probably not. I know you've said in the past that this is one of the series that you missed out on and you'd love to play through it, but you just don't have the time. It seems like you have been given the gift of time with your Thursday night streams. As far as I know, Kyle is a fan of the series. I could be wrong, so sorry if so. I don't know if I've ever heard Kyle talk about Mass Effect. If I have, I don't remember that really standing out in a particular way. I do like the idea of doing a live stream of Mass Effect whenever I get to it. I'm definitely not just going to play Mass Effect and then show up later and be like, so I played the whole Mass Effect trilogy and it was very fun. People are like, wait, whoa, we missed this. I would definitely want to stream a full playthrough. That would be a lot of fun, especially with, as Seratos goes on to mention, it would be amazing to see the choices that you make and see how those choices evolve through the series if you guys play all 3. The first game isn't very long, maybe 20 hours. I love that. So it was 20 hours. If you're not trying to 100% it, so it should be similar to your silver playthrough. I know you guys, our silver playthrough is 40, by the way, 40. I know you guys are planning on playing Dreams next, so just an idea for something after that. I don't know how long. I mean, we might play Dreams for the whole year. I don't know. I will certainly be playing Dreams for the whole year. So I don't know. I'll bring it up to Kyle. I'll see what he thinks. Some people were also mentioning BioShock, although I don't want to have... I like BioShock. I really enjoy it. BioShock is a special place in my heart. I don't want Kyle to spoil that. I don't want Bossman to like wriggle his way into my heart. So whenever I like, I'm just like, oh yeah, BioShock, and I'll like think of the music, and I'll think of like, how BioShock helped me, deal with a lot of fears that I have of underwater. There's some dreams actually that I've checked, not just like human dreams, but dreams, PS4 exclusive dreams that deal with underwater. I was like, ugh. But it's fun. I like to confront that fear head on. And so that game was very impactful for me. And I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, BioShock. And then just like out of like the cloudy memories of BioShock emerges Kyle Bossman going, It's like, nah, get out of here, Kyle. BioShock's awesome. Straw Hat Ninja, you guys did a don't skip on Trails in the Sky, and I absolutely loved it. I was just wondering if any of the allies are interested in playing any more of the series. Trails of Cold Steel came out last year, and none of the allies really talked about it. I know the series requires an enormous amount of time and effort since the games are so long and there are so many. I really do love the series, though, and it rewards your time and effort with some of the best world building and character development I've ever seen. I know it is definitely on Ben Moore's radar. I know he kicks himself whenever he thinks about it because he's like, one of these days, I'm going to get into that. And I think that is kind of the test, is that if Ben Moore can't make time for Trails of Cold Steel, then that series is in trouble as far as Easy Allies is concerned. But Straw Hat Ninja, you made an excellent point compared to, I think it was Brandon K. Gann asked if we had more time, how would we work to balance stuff out? I would want to play more games. I would definitely want to cover more games. And there's a great example of it. I always call it Trials, but it's Trails of Cold Steel 3. There we go. Blood says, I love this. This is why I don't talk about movies with you guys. I'll walk away from a movie feeling fine, come to work, and everyone says how terrible it was. There's a movie in there. That is an example. There's something specific. It's Joker, isn't it? There's something specific that Bloodworth saw. This was recent. That's a wound. When Blood brought that up, maybe he'll mention to me, and maybe he'll message me in Slack and tell me what that is. But that's a very specific movie. Like it happens every now and then. But that's at least happened in the last 3 or 4 months. The Blood was like, oh, really? But to Blood's comment, that definitely did happen to me at the Game Awards this year. I had a wonderful time at the Game Awards. I thought it was great. I thought all the announcements were great. I thought the musical performances were great. The Muppets were there. Like, I just had a really, really... those games are very long. Cut Ben some slack. Of course, yeah. I definitely loved the Game Awards, and then I jumped on Twitter, and it was like, oh, they were bad. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I missed that memo. Probably The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, sure. Carl Williams, if I remember correctly, when EZX 2020 was formally introduced at the end of the group streams, you brought up how the day after the event there would be a meetup at the park. I don't remember if the park name was mentioned. Apologies, it has not been. I got to track that down. It was supposed to be a meetup for those who either couldn't make it to the Disneyland meetup on Saturday, or were still in the area on Monday, or in general just weren't comfortable being on camera, or might not necessarily be comfortable actually being at EZX. A little too noisy, a little too much energy. That you might want to do something like during the day in the park outside. Maybe Sophie will be in attendance. I don't know. They'll likely be in Anaheim. I don't know if I want to drive Sophie down to Anaheim. So keep that in mind. If you're like, oh, no Sophie, well, I'm out. Do you have an idea of when more info on the park meetup will be presented? Sorry, as soon as possible, I'm focused on the Magic the Gathering stream. I want to plan accordingly as soon as possible, as while I won't make it to the Disneyland meetup, I want to make sure I get a return flight on Monday scheduled for after the park event. I'm 99.9% sure it'll be at noon. Any earlier than that, that will be rough to ask the allies to get up and get down to Anaheim for that, or somewhere near Anaheim. Again, just with the park event, I don't believe there has ever been a 100% attendance from all of the allies at that park event at just our general outside meetup surrounding our anniversary. So just feel like saying that doesn't necessarily fit into what Carl is asking here, but I think let's plop that in the calendar at noon, and then I will find a location for that, and then it may be at the tar pits again. I'm not sure, but it would make sense for to accommodate all of those people. I just imagine driving down to Anaheim on Saturday, driving down to Anaheim on Sunday, and then one more time driving down to Anaheim again on Monday. Irunian, with Keighley's announcement that he'll be skipping E3 this year, I wonder how this affects the way you view the event and its place in the gaming landscape. We did talk about this in the podcast, but happy to talk about it again very briefly. While selfishly, my first thought was, oh, cool, Bossman can be on the Nintendo Reactions. Does this seem to herald a significant shift in the event's prestige? among the dedicated? Will someone else rise to fill the gap? No, nobody can. No one is interested or can. That's kind of part of it, is that like Keighley is so unique in the talents that he has in hosting things, the connections that he has in making events happen, the budgets that he can put together to produce this stuff, the contacts in terms of like getting people involved, journalists and developers and celebrities and stuff. So if he's out, it's like, well, okay, no one is really going to be interested in doing that. And if you see if someone does, it's not going to have the same, maybe not necessarily heart, but it's not going to have the same kind of insider track feel. So we will see. Really interested in seeing who specifically, not only the Coliseum, which admittedly I have not experienced a lot of. I'm interested in seeing his pre-E3 coverage, who rises to fill in that gap, because he worked with YouTube previously. So is somebody going to work with YouTube? I don't know. I've heard rumors that Samsung's doing it. I don't know. I want to plan according. Oh, sorry. Or is the gaming convention as an event simply going too far down the individualized programs that have split other media types? Yeah, no one's going to rise to fill that gap. I don't, if you're going to E3, if it's your first E3, you're fine. You're going to have a good time. Again, Sony's not going to be there, sadly, but there will still be plenty of people that are going to be there. There will still be plenty of stuff. They're going to want to, no one that is going to E3 is going to want to like then not do an exciting job at E3. Like they're going to want to, blow up E3 and make, try to win it, try to, get the most press, have the most eyeballs on the stuff that they are doing, get their fans the most excited about the stuff that they have to announce and the stuff that they have playable at the event. So E3 will be fine if you go. It's going to be fun, but it is, I compared it to Canary in a Coal Mine on the podcast, because it's like, when you have someone like Keighley that's like, not only am I going to say something disparagingly about the ESA, or am I going to say that, yeah, there are problems at the ESA and there are problems with E3, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm backing out entirely. I think that is fascinating to me, because that means that there were things that were going on behind the scenes. There were attempts made. There were conversations, meetings happened between Keighley and the powers that be at E3 2020, and those meetings did not go well. And I think that's fascinating. And I think that because if you are the ESA, and this is kind of the thing that frustrates me about E3, if you're the ESA, I need you to say that things aren't going well. I need you to identify. It's kind of like EA with Star Wars. It's like, for me as a consumer, for me as a gamer, for me as somebody who enjoys this industry, I really appreciate people admitting something that is going wrong. EA being like, yeah, Anthem's not in good shape. It's like admitting that, just basically saying what we're all saying, saying what is so obvious to the rest of us. And the ESA is still just like, E3 2020. And it's like, no, Keighley's not going to be there. Come on, man. Like, hey, we love Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley can do whatever he wants, and Sony can do whatever they want to do, and we're going to do what we want to do. E3 2020. And it's like, that's not a sell. Like, it's very uncomfortable that all of you are not really like facing the facts of kind of what's going on. Or really like having any strong opinions about how things are going to be turned around. Or really kind of a strong vision toward the future of the convention. But are we going? Hell yeah. G-Man, sir. No, just answer that one. Morgan Mohala. What is EZA's most significant accomplishment as a business to date, getting the studio? And are you being active and intentional to surpass that accomplishment? We're going to get another one. No. Active and intentional? Yes. Sure. I know you frequently mention that the allies are happy with what they are doing, but sometimes it feels like you are becoming satisfied by not growing a larger community because it would shift the balance of your current, more comfortable work dynamic. It's not a matter of not, I'm just going to answer this in pieces as we go through the comment. It's not a matter of not wanting to grow. It's a matter of growing at a comfortable pace. Like if we woke up tomorrow and suddenly had like 100,000 more subscribers on YouTube, that'd be great. It would be a little tricky to manage because you'd have a lot of people coming in. It's kind of like E3. I don't know if you've ever jumped into the comments during E3, but like we just have this influx of all these people that normally don't watch our content throughout the year and are just showing up on one day. And they might not know who all of us are. They might not know some of the memes that we're dropping. They might not know how we operate here at Easy Allies. And so it might be confusing to them. It might be things might, be a little clumsy in terms of our communication with our community. And so we just want things to grow organically. Uh-oh. Milo's waking up. I don't ask this to offend. I'm not offended, but I am sometimes not sure I understand the trajectory of EZA as a business. I could also be mistaken because I don't see and understand the same things as you, so please feel free to correct me and put me in my place. I will give this a very quick answer because my time might be limited in terms of Milo might be. He just kind of woke up a little bit, and then he's just like, wow, Dad's talking a lot. Who's Dad talking? Did somebody show up? Is somebody here? Is my grandma here? We shall see. We shall see what happens with my... What?
Well, I hear him.
Yeah?
But I want him to go back to sleep.
Okay. How long is the nap? Are we at the 45 mark?
We're at the... What time is it?
It's always the 45 mark.
No.
No, what time is it?
Because it's almost 11.
Oh, okay.
And he went down at 9:30.
Oh, so it's been an hour and a half. Yeah, that's a nap.
Wake up?
Yeah.
I'm going to wake the boy up.
Time to wake up. Time to wake up, everybody. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo. I'll tell you where we're at, Morgan. We are in a bit of a transitional period right now. We are getting ready for our 4th anniversary, and we are integrating Roost. We are hopefully improving basically strengthening our budget a little bit more for the things that we can produce by working with an actual ad network. And that has taken a while. We finally kicked off that deal right as we went into the holidays, and then that deal, finally started to function the way it normally would in terms of communicating with them what ads we were comfortable in doing, them understanding, how our business works, how our podcasts work, how our shows work, us communicating to our patrons in terms of how ads would work moving forward, us, implementing the shout out tier. And then January was, game of the year and predictions and just a lot of things that we generally do at the beginning of the year that kind of took the place of us planning other events. And then I know it might not seem like a huge thing. We'll get into this in the editorial today, but I really wanted to kick off 2020 with a very fun event, which will be our Magic the Gathering tournament tomorrow. Something that we had not done in a long time. We hadn't done a tournament in a while. We had not streamed from the studio stage in a while. We had not done... a charity event in a while. So all of these kind of hit those points at the same time. And so again, this is not something that you would think of as like growth or us doing something we've never done before, but it is stepping just slightly outside. I know Bloodworth is stepping way outside of his comfort zone by learning Magic the Gathering. And us doing our anniversary event in March, having this be our 4th anniversary and having this be a community focused event is unique and different, and is something that also we haven't done before. So we are focused on specifically how we can do that, the best way we can right out of the gate. But we are still waiting to have our budget balance. If you have noticed, our Patreon has dropped a little bit because we took out those sponsorship tiers, and so a lot of those big. You don't see that reflected in the Patreon, and our budget necessarily hasn't balanced out because of that income coming in through Roost yet. So we are in this kind of weird transition phase where we are waiting to when we can get to a point where, okay, this is how Roost is going to operate. This is how much, revenue we can expect from Roost in terms of how, what we take and how much money we spend on other things. And then we can hopefully, before the end of the middle point of the year, once we get into E3, we can start thinking of, how can we develop new shows? How can we potentially bring in other people to help us out, produce different projects or things that we wanted to do before but didn't necessarily have, the resources to do. So bit of a convoluted answer, but it is, and it is tricky for me because my anxiety, my patience doesn't really work well in periods like that, where it's just kind of like, we're in the process of waiting for stuff right now. Like, I do feel you in terms of like, kind of like what's going on with these ELIs right now. So hopefully we have enough fun events planned that you can see that we are doing things that are a bit unusual, a bit outside of stuff that we've normally done. And plus us, kicking off phase 4 last year. We are still kind of getting comfortable. We did Prison of Love. Now we're back to the Huber Syndrome. And so we are still kind of implementing some of those things. Together We RPG is on its way. And so still working on some of that stuff in terms of delivering on some stuff that we previously promised. So 2020 is going to be an interesting year. And we definitely, I am definitely active and intentional when it comes to growing Easy Allies in 2020. Asbo Zapruder. Okay, so if like phase 4 of Easy Allies, still talking about phase 4, was one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, what would it choose as the national bird? An eagle, a turkey, or a dove? Hands down a turkey. We should have been a turkey for reals. I know that these are more personal questions. I would just trivia. I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to wait for comments in chat. Do you know who that was of the three? So there's three people that are debating on that. Three people they're singing that song in 1776, which is what Asbo Zapruder is referencing. Pins, John, pins. And I don't remember who the eagle and the dove was, but it's John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin rules, everybody. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you were aware that Ben Franklin rules. But I've always been a big Ben Franklin fan. Ben Franklin has also always been big. But Ben Franklin wanted the turkey. This is a very proud bird. It's a very beautiful bird, lots of colors, and it's obviously turkeys are very, very much a part of our national history. We as a nation, we gather together on Thanksgiving, and we eat a turkey to celebrate, and so it's like you're eating America. No, I do enjoy it. I don't remember specifically what the arguments that Ben Franklin makes in that number, but true fun story that this reminded me of before I move on, and I'm adding a little bit of personal flair because we only have two more business questions to get to. When I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, an actor was going to come to the school to be Ben Franklin, basically. He's got to have the glasses on and the hair and the outfit, and he was going to talk about flying the kite and the Constitution, and go through the whole thing and talk about like his life and all of his accomplishments and stuff. And I don't know why, for some reason, I was just in love with Ben Franklin. I think when I was a kid, I was really fascinated about being an inventor, and so I was really fascinated by Da Vinci and Thomas Edison and just a lot of these people that had either drawn like fascinating designs or had invented, really crazy things. Would Americans really feel comfortable eating their national bird every Thanksgiving? Yes. Depends on how you prepare it. And I got really sick. I got the flu or something, and I couldn't go that day. And I was miserable. I was like, no, I really wanted to see this presentation because like I had just done some presentation of Ben Franklin, or I had just written a report or read a book or something. And I was like so bummed that I wasn't going to be, yes, I am that much of a nerd that Ben Franklin was one of my heroes as a kid. I should have been watching anime at the time, but I wasn't. I was into Ben Franklin, and I was super, super depressed. And my mom was volunteering at the school. And so she was in the the main administrative office, and Ben Franklin had done the presentation, and he walks in and he's like, hey, everybody. And they're like, oh, hey, Frank, or whatever the guy's real name was. And they're like, hey, great presentation. And he was like, oh, thanks. And my mom was there, and she was like, oh, and she's like, thank you so much for coming. And she's like, my son, Brandon, was so upset because he really wanted to see the presentation. And he's like, oh, and what's wrong with Brandon? And he's like, oh, he was sick today. And he's like, oh, really? And he's like, well, I'd love to go see him. And I was like, oh, no, you don't have to go see him. And he's like, no, really, where do you live? And she's like, well, actually, I live kind of close to the school. I live just like 5 minutes away. And he's like, let's do it. And he's like, here, I'll take my car and I'll follow you. And so then my mom drives home. Ben Franklin's in the car, following my mom. And then my mom pulls up in front of the house. And I'm in my room. I'm in my parents' bedroom. They put me in their bed. And I'm in my parents' bedroom because they had a TV. And so I'm just like sick in bed watching TV. And Ben Franklin walks in the room like, hello. It's like, what the hell? True story. Ben Franklin came to visit me when I was sick. James McCoy. I'm writing today, as you may have missed, a huge controversy that arose last month in Australia. Bring it back down. It was found that several charities that successfully raised huge amounts of money, including reputable institutions like the Australian Red Cross and Salvation Army, were shown to be holding back many tens of millions of dollars. Responses from the charities that these were for ongoing costs and future emergencies did little to comfort people who had lost everything. In response to this, there are now increased calls for Australian charities to have greater accountability and scrutiny. I would never consider the following advice. Well, I would never recommend against raising money for a cause which is clearly so close to my heart, but please consider the following advice. Please let us know upfront which charities you will be passing chat's donations onto. So far, you've only mentioned that they're going generally to support relief for Australian bushfires, but some more specifically would put my mind at ease. Some more specificity would put my mind at ease. Please scrutinize the charities you are passing on chat's donations to. Do they pay directly to communities or environment restoration groups in affected areas? Do they have clear plans for how donations are paid out? Do they have affiliations with prominent mining or coal lobby groups that argue against the role of humans in creating a hotter, drier climate and this impact this has on bushfires? For example, several mining magnates who hold significant political power in Australia have led very successful fundraisers for the bushfires while simultaneously spreading thoroughly disproven myths about arsonists plaguing the Australian wilderness. This is one reason why we don't do charities like all the time. We're just like, oh yeah, send money there, send money there. Like it, there is always that concern over, and shout out to Daniel Bloodworth, who's always definitely scrutinizes this stuff. Whenever I say like, oh, it'd be fun to work with that charity, Blood's like, well, let me look them up. Let me see who these people are before we decide to do business with them. Before we say, to recommend that we pass people on. I'll say it right now. There's still some paperwork that I have to do, but we're going to be working with Tiltify, which has previously worked with many different gaming outlets that have been working to support the relief effort in Australia. And the way Tiltify works is you can actually choose your charity within Tiltify. I think they work primarily with WWF and the Red Cross and one other charity. And so when you donate through Tiltify, you can pick, I want my money to go to this charity. And then we still get the credit for working with them. So that is potentially what we have set up. Again, don't go searching for that stuff. Wait until, we set up that information tomorrow so you can go through the proper channels, and then so that we can get the benefit of having our team similar to how we were set up with Able Gamers when we did our charity previously. But all of these are very valid concerns. Obviously, do your own research, keep all of this in mind. I'm not sure I deserve that shout out. I don't remember saying a lot in those regards. Well, not about this, but you definitely have been cautious about making sure that we work with the right charities when we work on stuff, working with the right companies when we tell our community to work with those companies. You definitely deserve that shout out. Blood deserves every shout out, positive and negative. But James, I really appreciate that. Obviously, we want, this to benefit the people in Australia that have been dealing with these horrible events. But we obviously want our allies in Australia to be comfortable with the work that we are doing, and hopefully that in the 6 hours plus or minus that we will be doing our best to present a Magic the Gathering in-house tournament, we will be doing right by the people that were most adversely affected by these horrible events. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, and hopefully that works with the company that we have picked. So there we go. Eric Greenberg. So it looks like Kyle is out this week too. Thankfully, things seem to be better, as his tweet says. So can we get Ben to host the podcast this week, just for funsies? Also, you did a great job, Jones. Thank you, Eric. I know that you have more responsibility on the podcast as co-host and editor, but this might be the only opportunity for someone else to host it. So no. When we found this out that Kyle was going to be around, all the allies basically looked at me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll host it. So that, yeah, we went through that process of asking the other allies if they were interested in doing that, and they were not. So there you go. So no, my show now. I will be hosting again. There we go. Business questions. Takeaways. Best of the Generation Awards or live stream? Well, think about it. I'll throw it at the group. Include the coupon code during podcast halftime in the Patreon post if we have not been doing that, although I believe we have. And check out Thrill of the Fight on Quest VR, which we do have, which I might have in my garage right now, the Quest VR. I don't know about Thrill of the Fight, but we do have a lovely relationship with Oculus. They did whitelist our accounts. We do have access to everything, and I believe that does factor into our Quest as well. And so it won't cost us a darn thing to check out Thrill of the Fight. Although I got to admit, it sounds like a boxing game, and I'm not a huge fan of punching the air. It just doesn't, I don't know, kind of the same thing with swinging a sword. They're not my favorite VR games. How much can I move my hands, a cup of Jones today? Because it's just, you don't get that. That's why I love the controllers. I like doing stuff. That's why I love Super Hot, because you really get the sense that, like, yes, I'm holding that thing and firing it and stuff. Huber playing Super Hot. If you've missed it, please check it out on our group stream. Let's talk about editorials. Let's talk in the editorial about tournaments, rather. Tournaments. Did my question about an audio monitor get lost? Oh no. go back to business questions. Did it? I don't know. Let's check it out, Snowcone Guy. Let's go back in. Hey, everybody. Leave no comment behind. Talk amongst yourselves. Audio monitors. Audio monitors. Let's go back. There were 2 posts last week. It gets a little confusing. I don't think I missed anything. There were just not a lot of questions. So, but you never know. Snow Cone Guy, where did you go? Not seeing you at all on here, Snow Cone Guy. Yeah. Patreon might have just gobbled that one up. Nope. I don't know if you asked it on the second post, but I'm not seeing it there. Ask it next week. I'll get to it. All right. For realsies this time. Tournaments. They happen sometimes. Tournaments are stressful, which is one of the reasons why we don't do them a lot. I consider Hall of Greats a tournament, you know, and I know a lot of people were like, some people don't. They're like, no, I want to. What is that? Where did you get that baby from? Where did you get that baby?
I made him.
You made this baby?
Yeah. Guess what?
What?
Pretty sure there's a full diaper here.
A full diaper?
If you had smell-o-vision, you could smell what the rock is cooking.
Should we get the first full diaper on Cup of Jones?
Here it is.
Here it is.
Here it is. Hold on.
Here's the full diaper, everybody. That's the full diaper right there. Gosh darn it, I love that kid a lot.
He was just laying on the floor laughing at Sophie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that sometimes.
Yeah.
I consider Hall of Greats tournaments because they kind of require the same amount of work as a tournament. You know, they require a little bit more planning than a usual group stream does. They require us to kind of bring our A game in terms of us doing preparation before we get ready for Hall of Greats, and obviously they require us to be a little zen. You know, a little realizing a bit that we want to win. We come to compete, but if we don't win, it's the same time. Or that's fine. But it's obviously our community. They want to see a little salt. They want to see a little aggression. You know, they want to see the fight. But we don't want to let that damage our relationships. We don't want to let that damage our business, damage the morale here at Easy Allies. And so we talked a little bit about balance, you know, with, gaming content versus non-gaming content. Same thing applies in terms of doing tournaments. There's a balance in terms of how often we want to do them. Blood says, the Hall of Greats is a tournament of words and reputation. Reputation is brutal, Blood. A tournament of rep. Turn rep. So one of the reasons we don't do them a ton and we kind of got out of the habit of doing them is it's not something, whenever we think of doing tournaments, like not necessarily last minute, but if we're planning it like a month in advance, you know, if we're looking ahead at the next month and it's like, oh, let's do a tournament. Oh, that, you know, Mortal Kombat's coming out. Let's do a tournament. Generally there is just kind of this sigh among the allies. It's like, no, I don't. You know who loves tournaments? Chasing the Ball tournament from Sophie. There's just like, you know, people kind of like, oh man, no, I'm not like super excited about doing a tournament. And I think one of the issues that we found, actually, not to put a spotlight on Ben Moore, but Ben Moore is very good at fighting games. And whenever a new fighting game comes out, it's like, it just kind of seems like a natural fit. Like, oh, cool, there's a new Smash DLC. Let's do Smash. But like Ian and I are not very good at Smash. And so it's like, okay, well, we can do a Smash tournament, but like the results are going to be very obvious if we do that tournament, in terms of like, don't expect, you know, every now and then there might be an upset and I might suddenly just be some kind of crazy savant at a Sonic the Hedgehog fighting game. But usually it's really, you know, Brad Ellis, you know, Huber, Ben, like they're really, sometimes Kyle, that they're really going to show up and be crazy competitive at a fighting game. And so And then sometimes we do things that are kind of like pseudo tournaments, like that's what's so fun about Jackbox is like they're like these little mini tournaments that happen, these little, mini competitions. But obviously when we do these full big tournaments, we have prizes, we have the stakes are a little bit higher. The drama tends to feel a little more intense. But that we don't really fake that drama. I think the drama around bets can be somewhat staged. Some people I saw when I revisited that me singing Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat, I could see a lot of people in chat that they were like, did I rewatch that a couple times? Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat, the cat of the railway train? I did sing that. Was I wonderful? Was I jellicle? Jellicle is like I think we all spend our whole lives trying to be jellicle. Okay, let me try to get back on track. I could see people in chat saying like, I feel like Jones enjoys this. I don't feel like Jones really lost this bet. I think Jones won. We all won. But tournaments, Hall of Greats, it can get a little salty. It can get on that razor's edge of us finishing the stream and then one or two allies saying, you know what, I gotta be honest, I didn't enjoy that. That was kind of frustrating. It was frustrating because I didn't understand how to play the game. I wish I had a little bit more time to practice. I wish there was maybe a little bit more of an even playing field. And so it's tricky because, not only do we want to find the right game that we can make a tournament out of, in this case, Daniel Bloodworth is stepping up, to join. It was kind of like a Rochambeau between Blood and I, because I'm like, yeah, I am more experienced with Magic the Gathering. I'm sure, man, if I was going to put money on the table, I bet Blood would whoop my ass at Magic the Gathering now. Now that Blood has put a little time into learning the fundamentals, into going up against people, I bet Blood would destroy me. Blood was like, I don't know, I'm looking at that blue deck. And it's like, of course you're looking at that blue deck. I knew it. Bloodworth is such a blue deck player, man. Because to me, the blue deck is all about like, no. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to play this card. No, you're not. Like, all right. Well, okay. Well, if you're going to try to do that thing, then okay, well, I'll put this card and I'm going to do damage. Nope. I'm just like, stop. Will you stop doing that? Justin Spear back at Game Trailers, whenever we'd have Magic the Gathering tournaments, he'd always roll blue, just blue, straight capital B blue. And he wouldn't even say anything. He would just, you're like, stop it. You just put that card back in your hand. I'm green red for life, baby. If I could only pick one, I'd pick red. Hands down red. It's like Hunter and Hearthstone. I'm just power. Damage. Pew. Speed. What is it? Flash? What's that you can the card can go right away, there's no summoning sickness? Rush? Is that what it is? Yeah. I'm talking about Magic the Gathering. Can't remember what it is. Yeah, Amanda's been playing too much Hearthstone. She doesn't know that. But whatever, I think it's Flash. I think it might be Flash. That's like right when you put a card in, it doesn't have summoning sickness, and it can do whatever it wants to right away. I love that. Yeah, and I'm fire Pokemon. Fire. But if I want to do two colors, Uzi Suicide, no idea what the hell you're talking about. But if I want to do two colors, I'll do the green. So then I can have a little bit of defense. I can bring in my big boys. I can bring in like an 8/8, and then do damage that way. What was I talking about? So it's tough to find a game that is a nice equalizer. It's a nice equalizer is what I'm looking for. It's a nice equalizer amongst the allies. So we all know, oh, hey, look at this. We're all coming in at the same it's the same difficulty level for everybody. We all have the same experience level with this, which is preferably none. It's always really fun when we have a tournament towards a fighting game that we are not familiar with, towards a game that all of us haven't played like hundreds of hours in. And then at the same time, it needs to be the type of game that is good for a community. It needs to be the type of game that'll work really well in a group stream. It needs to be something that is potentially relevant. That's something that, will do good numbers on Twitch, or that our community will be like, oh, yay, they're playing that. And so there's just a lot of factors that go into specifically what those types of games are. And so that is why it can kind of be a special sauce. It needs to be whenever we put on a tournament. So apologies to people that are like, this is great, that you're gonna watch, the Magic the Gathering tournament tomorrow and be like, yes, this is great. You should always do this. It does take a fair amount of time and research and just kind of like the right equation of to pull off a good tournament at Easy Allies, which is why we don't do them a lot. So apologies that we don't do them a lot. That definitely is a goal. Not necessarily to do more tournaments, because I know we got a Hall of Greats coming up soon. If not, I don't maybe think it's potentially this month. I think we got Hall of Greats next month. And I got my game preloaded, baby. I'm ready. I will not promise more tournaments in 2020. I think it would behoove us to at least do one more, obviously, before the year is out. But I do want to do more scheduled events. I do want to do more group streams that are not just your standard. We're going to pick some game and then sit down for 2 hours and then open some presents and wave goodbye. But more things that you can look forward to, more things that would be fun promoting, more things that would make more events out of what we do on Tuesday nights. And potentially other nights as well. But I just want to say that for those people, because I know they brought it up on Cup of Jones previously, that wanted to do more tournaments. Hall of Greats will be next month. Nice. Thank you for the backup blood. That tomorrow will be like, see, look at the traffic that you did. Look at the wonderful things that you did for disaster relief in Australia. Look how much the community loved this. Why don't you do this every week? Because it's tough to find the right thing. And to close out this editorial, frankly, we all get exhausted. And we don't want to spend our jobs fighting each other. We don't want to spend all the time. We really want to practice love and respect, to really kind of pass on positive vibes. We don't want you to tune in every time and it's just like, damn you. We don't want to. I don't want to look at my coworkers as enemies. But if we space things out just enough, it's fun to do every now and then for bets, every now and then for disagreements that we have, or for Hall of Greats, or for tournaments. It's fun to kind of or for opinion yell, it's fun to kind of put on our adversary hats and scream a little bit, and then get back to the hugging and the snuggling. So there won't be any hugging or snuggling tomorrow, maybe between Brad and myself. Maybe some special guest stars that come in. If we have one guy coming in tomorrow, I'm definitely going to be snuggling with that guy. But the Tuesday after the fact will probably be in the streaming room. I don't know if we have that scheduled. I don't know if see, Ben, I don't know if we can say specifically what we're going to be streaming the week after our tournament. I do not recall right now. But I will try to make as many of those happen in 2020 as I can. And thank you for your patience. And I hope you enjoy tomorrow, and let me know, obviously, the week following on the next Cup of Jones, what you think of our Magic the Gathering tournament. There are lots of card games out there. It is very likely that if we are going to play a card game in the future after tomorrow, it'll be on the occasional board game show. As a matter of fact, we actually had something come in recently that we are looking forward to turning into an occasional board game show. But let us know what you think. This is much like EasyX that we're doing next month. It's the first time we've done something like this to this. We kind of had a rehearsal when we did the Pokemon card game back in the garage, but we floated ideas for next week, but we were going to play Conan Chop Chop until it got delayed. It's something that I will tease right now, because it's something that Ian and I have been putting off forever that I really want to do. There's a clean boy. He's so funny because his hair is standing up now. It's growing in. His hair is just standing. It's just standing straight up. You can't really see it, but it's just like whoop, little buzz. Hey, bud. Oh, hey, watch it now. Yeah. Long story short, let us know what you think. That's Cup of Jones. Cheers, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and click. See you next week. Cheers.